Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service support and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts.
At ECESC, we believe that students' strengths and interests are a blueprint to forging a future of success and impact, and we are on a journey to provide support and collaboration to schools as they implement career-connected learning for all students.
As part of this mission, we are here today to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream big dreams and achieve more than they thought possible.
Their work inspires us each day, and we want to lift up their stories and the stories of the students they are impacting and serving. Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast. My name is Pat Haney, Director of East Central Educational Service Center in Newcastle, Indiana. And co-hosting with me today is Lindsey Lovern, an instructional specialist and grant coordinator here at the Service Center. Hi, Lindsey. How are you today?
Hey, Pat. Doing well. Glad to be here again.
Well, and thank you for being here. As we record today, we are with some of our fellow Indiana ESC and friends and member districts at TitleCon, an Indiana Department of Education event in central Indiana. But wanted to make sure to set aside time today for a great episode and a great guest and collaborator that we are thrilled to have joining us today. So we want to welcome to the podcast today Dr. Chuck Reynolds, Superintendent of Muncie Community Schools. Hello, Chuck. How are you? And thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me. I don't know that it'll be great and terrific, but we'll certainly have some pretty good conversations about what's going on in Muncie.
That sounds like a plan.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today to represent Muncie Community Schools. And the first thing that we want to ask you is just about you. We want to get to know you a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in educational leadership and what brought you to your position in Muncie?
Yeah, absolutely. I hate to go too far back in my educational journey, but I tell you, I think it's important and relevant to my story and through my work here in the Muncie Community Schools. I grew up in Muncie, grew up on the south side of town, maybe be classified as an at-risk student back in those days. Single parent home, blended family in the home. Education was something that we did. It was valued, but it wasn't until I got to high school and had some teachers, one in particular that pushed me and challenged me to not let my circumstances define me, and really opened that door of the possibilities of education to help guide my journey. So after high school, I attended Ball State as a music education major, spent my teaching career as a high school, middle school band director. And in fact, it was here in Muncie. I spent the majority of that time. I did spend a few years at Eastbrook High School in Marion, just there near Upland University. And then the next 6 years here in the Muncie Community Schools at Muncie Southside High School, which I graduated from as the high school band director there. Had tremendous success with the program. We won trophies and plaques and all those accolades. But I tell you that the program grew. I felt like we were producing just wonderful young people that were meeting those high expectations that we set, and we're having a terrific life post their time in high school in the band, whether that was in college or right to the workforce or whatever. We were producing lots of successful kids. Had a desire to want to be more involved besides just my high school band kids, and administration was that path. So went back to Ball State and worked on my educational leadership degree, became a building administrator, and again, spent most of my career with the Muncie Community Schools as a building administrator, as assistant principal, associate principal, and a middle school principal at Wilson Middle School. Just loved that journey. Got the itch to continue my educational journey, and worked on my EDS and EDD degrees. Again, from Ball State, just being here in town, you look at other opportunities, but just the programs at Ball State were just second to none. So I thought, boy, how could I not stay at home and have those wonderful opportunities right here in my backyard? finished that degree, had an opportunity to go to Richmond, Indiana to be the assistant superintendent of the Richmond Community Schools. Spent 4 years in Richmond as the assistant superintendent, and then 2019 came back to Muncie as the associate superintendent. Did that for 5 years, and in my first year as the superintendent, and in Muncie we call that seat the director of public education and CEO, but still that's that traditional superintendent role for most folks.
Absolutely. Well, Chuck, thank you for sharing that background and that journey. I'm sure it has to be kind of an amazing full circle moment to now be leading the district that you grew up in, and really that gave so much to you, as far as setting your aspirations and sights higher, and really actualizing that potential for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, it's a humbling experience. Anytime I was able to come back or to stay or to move up within the Muncie Community Schools, I just thought of it as an opportunity to give back to a corporation that helped shape my life,
Mhm.
and get to do that every day is just tremendous. And I'll tell you that the people in the community of Muncie have just been so gracious and so supportive in this new role. It's just, I don't know that I've ever experienced anything like it, but it's been absolutely amazing. Just felt that calling to do that. Just thought I could help more. I had 160 kids in our music program at Southside when I left that program. I just thought, wow, there's 160 kids here, but there are 1,200 in the building, and how could I reach those students through education?
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Muncie Community Schools. We would love to have you give us a little background information about your district, and for all of our listeners, where are you located? Who are your students, and what's your district all about? I know we were talking kind of offline before we started. There are definitely some pieces that make Muncie Community Schools unique. So take us into a little bit behind the curtain at Muncie Community Schools.
Absolutely. Now, Pat, interrupt me. I get a little excited when I start talking about my school district and my community. So if I'm not clear on something, please feel free to stop me, and I will certainly clarify. So the Muncie Community Schools is, I would call us urban fringe. I don't know that we're not Indianapolis. We're not one of the largest school districts in the state, but we have a lot of urban attributes, a lot of challenges that come with urban settings. So we are East Central Indiana, about 60 miles from downtown Indianapolis. We have a student population of about 5,200 pre-K through 12th grade students. We also house the career center for our cooperative. So we really serve three counties through that. That 5,200 doesn't count the 275 or so students that come to our district, but call other schools their home. One of the things that we're most proud of is the diversity of our population. We have a diverse school that is reflective of a vibrant and multicultural community. And it's one of the attributes of our corporation we're very proud of. You step into our schools and they look like the real world. Students from all backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, religious, ethnic, philosophical, just a great melting pot of our community is represented within our schools. I tell you, we have about 35 home countries represented in our schools, and about 37 different languages are represented, and that's been growing pretty rapidly over the last 3 years. But boy, it's again one of those shining examples of the vibrancy of our school district that we like to showcase. We don't come without challenges. We have pretty high free and reduced lunch rate. About 73% of our students are free and reduced lunch now. While there are challenges that can be associated with that, we also are the benefactors of some federal grants and fundings that help offset that. So we take the challenges and then try to leverage those to better support our kids. Now, The uniqueness, I think, about our corporation is our partnership with Ball State University. So in May of 2018, the school district was really falling on some pretty hard times. We were losing students at an extraordinary rate to other area school districts. There's about 6 school districts that touch our boundaries. We are in the middle of a school district donut. How about that? And we were struggling. We were falling on some financial hard times. We'd lost about 1,900 students over a 10-year span. So we were in a tough spot. The legislators put together a bill called House Bill 1315 that really turned over control, if you can say that, to Ball State University, our a mid-major university located in our town for control. Now that sounds very heavy-handed. It is not heavy-handed as far as helping us run the district. It's very collaborative, but they were given that responsibility to oversee our district. The uniqueness of that is that the president of the university appoints our 7-member school board. The president selects 5 individuals to represent on the school board, and then the city council, they give 3 recommendations to the president of the university, and the mayor then gives 3 additional recommendations to the president of the university, and then President Burns selects one of those 3 from the mayor and from the council to make up our 7-member board. So they are not elected. They're 100% appointed to help govern the district. We've been given lots of freedoms and lots of leeway to do some innovative practices. One of which is we don't have a school improvement plan per se. We have an innovation plan. So each year we submit an innovation plan. First year we had to submit an innovation plan. Second, each year following, we have to do an update on the progress that we're making. Boy, it's really hard to talk about this without really getting in all the details because it's so interrelated to how we operate within the school district. So 2018-19 school year, we embarked on a journey of writing that innovation plan, and then conducted what we called listen and learn sessions over the course of several months in the spring of 2019 to help us write that plan. The intent was to go out in the community and want to make sure that we are reflective of our community and the hopes, dreams, desires of our community, of their public school system. So I think which is the beauty of public education, where you have a number of things that you have to do, but you also get you get the flexibility to be reflective of your community. And we wanted to make sure we did that. So went through those sessions, collected terrific responses. The community involvement and support was tremendous. And I think we'll talk about that a little later. But as a result of all that work, we created a 2020 to 2025 innovation plan that guided our work for the next 5 years in our school district. So that is probably the uniqueness of the Muncie Community Schools. I believe we're the only school district in the country that has that type of a relationship with the university for oversight and partnership.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think there will be a lot of people that have probably been curious that that will be new learning for them. I really appreciate how you broke that down. I know I live in just a neighboring county, and you shared a lot that I had not heard before and didn't know. So I appreciate that.
You live it every day. You kind of forget. We just attended the National School Board Conference with a couple of our school board members, and people were just so intrigued by our partnership and the school board and how that whole process works. So we're going to look to try to get our story out a little bit more. So it's just you get into it and you live it every day and you're working through it and you forget that it is a very unique situation.
And you talked about your innovation plan being from 2020 to 2025. It is now 2025. So here in this moment, as you start to reflect, what are you most proud of that you're doing? Let's start drilling into some more, specific things. You gave us the bigger vision. What can we, getting your story out there? What can we be celebrating for you today?
There's 5 pillars in our innovation plan: high quality preschool, recruitment and development of educators and educational leaders, student centered teaching environment, uh, well rounded social emotional learning, and community engagement. Are the 5 pillars. And then we have foundational principles: culturally responsive practice, and continuous aligned strategic learning for everyone. So we really frame up our work every day on that model of 5 pillars and 2 principles. And one of the things that we heard in our listen and learn session is that our community wanted to ensure that we had high quality teachers in front of our students, with the very best educational opportunities possible. So, as I mentioned earlier, I spent most of my career in Muncie, either as a teacher or a building administrator, but then left for 4 years to be a district administrator. But when I came back, the biggest difference that I saw was that classroom instructional piece. While we struggled with student enrollment and finances, some of our best and brightest and most veteran teachers left our district. That was the biggest difference that I saw when I came back. It was still a wonderful community and terrific students filled the classrooms, but up in front of them, boy, some of our best and brightest teachers had left. Not that we didn't have terrific teachers, but you really lean on your veteran staff to be teacher leaders and mentors for your younger teachers. So one of our most proud accomplishments is turning around our teacher retention rate. I think 2016 or 17, we dropped to almost a 65% retention rate. So we had turned over 45% of our teachers in 1 year. We just really struggling to add consistency, recognizing that our teachers are the lifeblood to the educational process. We really wanted to focus on that, on retaining and attracting our very best teachers. So we were very, very intentional on strategies. First and foremost, we had to get competitive with our pay scale. Our pay scale was at one time the highest around, and if you wanted to be a part of the highest paying school district and the most resources, you came to Muncie, and that unfortunately wasn't the case around that time. So the first thing we wanted to do was improve our teacher pay, and we did that. We've increased teacher pay since 2018 by 40%. Starting teacher pay was 36.8 and change, and this year it's $51,500 for starting teachers. So and we moved the entire teaching staff that direction too. We just didn't focus on new teachers. We focused on our entire educational team to do that. Something else that we heard which ties along into teacher retention, was high quality educational resources. We wanted to ensure that we were getting the highest quality educational resources into the hands of our teachers and in front of our students. So we're very strategic about putting together teams, working with Ball State University and their teachers college and the educational experts that they had in those facilities to ensure that we were selecting and implementing with fidelity the best educational resources out there. And then I guess that third piece of teacher retention and getting high quality instruction is professional development for those teachers. Any of us that come right out of college, we have a terrific foundation, but then quickly realize, this is not like my classes that I took to get me prepared for this. This is the real world. So we've partnered with Ball State University, of course, to bring in best practice research, best practice to support our teachers. Educational Service Center, NIET. We went out to find the very best folks that we could to bring in to continue to pour into our staff to ensure that they had the best tools in their tool bag to reach our students. So kind of a long answer to talk about teacher retention and how and how that's one of our most proud accomplishments. You can't begin to address those other things unless you have those pieces in place first.
Absolutely. No, absolutely, Chuck. And huge accomplishment to really see the impact of those efforts. And I have to think that not only do you see the impact in terms of the actual data, but also in terms of the morale, the camaraderie, the professional collaboration that is happening within your buildings to support that as well.
Absolutely. So House Bill 1315 also gave us leadway to not recognize a teachers union. So we don't have a teachers union within our district, which is again very unique. Um, I saw that as a particular challenge at times. So how
Hmm.
do we ensure we get teacher voice into those decisions that we as a district are making to impact the classroom? So we have teacher committees that still work on the handbooks and curriculum maps and the calendars. We still ensure that we have teacher voice that are embedded in all of those processes. We do what we call a process check at every building at least once a year, where we go through and the district leadership team sits down and talks to every teacher, talks about curriculum and resources, needs, challenges, and we work on, let that guide our strategic plan next year. It guides any of our initiatives that we might be starting, just to ensure that we have teacher voice in what we do every day. And I think that's testimony. Our teacher retention rate is above 85%. So just really excited about maintaining our teaching staff.
I love that. And I learned something today. I can't remember if it was you or Mr. Grimm that had to, they couldn't meet on a particular day because you had a process check. And I had no idea what that was. So now I know, now I know if one of you say you have a process check, I know what's happening. So shifting gears a little bit about thinking about your students. I'd love to take some time to describe a graduate from your corporation, and then maybe some recent student examples or highlights of student successes that demonstrate that mission and vision of Muncie Community Schools.
Absolutely. So again, going back to those listen and learn sessions and our innovation plan, well, we wanted to prepare students for life after Muncie Central High School. Not necessarily all going to college or straight to the workforce or enlist in the military, but whatever they choose, we wanted to make sure they were ready for that, having outstanding technology at their fingertips. Again, highly active instructional practices, research-based materials. We wanted to make sure we got all those in front of them, so when they left Muncie Central and the Muncie Community Schools, that they would be ready for anything that they wanted to do. I think of a couple students off the top of my head, including my own. My oldest son graduated from Muncie Central last year. Wanted to go out, wanted to go to college. He's a student athlete. Wanted to make sure that he had those opportunities post Muncie Central, and he did. He was fortunate enough to get an athletic scholarship. Left Muncie Central High School with an associate's degree through our partnership with Ivy Tech, and is doing just tremendously at a small university here in Indiana. That's exactly where he wanted to go, what he wanted to do, and is just being very, very successful. Along with that, I think of another Central graduate that very in tune with his academics and his athletics. This young man was a tremendous athlete as well, but he wanted to leave the state. He wanted to go out and spread his wings, and actually is clear across the country at a very prestigious university, conducting his academic studies there, but was 100% prepared for life after Muncie Central on maybe one of the most prestigious universities in the country, and was ready to go right here at Muncie Central. Third student, I can't say enough about our Muncie Area Career Center and the opportunities for for students that want to maybe go right to the workforce, which this young man thought he wanted to do. He was excited about the work he was doing at the Career Center, leveraged his dual credits that he earned out here in certifications, industry recognized certifications, and leveraged those to go right into the workforce. Enjoys his job and is working in a productive part of our community. Recently, I ran into him in town and his dad, and he is looking at returning or going to a post-secondary institution. He's thinking about going to college, not because he dislikes what he's doing, but because he's in love with what he's doing. He wants to continue to move up in the company that he's working for. So he is excited about going back to school, which was not on his radar when he was in high school. He really wanted to go to work and use his hands and be a part of that, but got out in the rural workforce and was producing in our community, but wanted to wants to move up in the company. He just enjoys it so much. So he's going to go back to school, and I believe that the company is going to pay for part of that education for him.
Wow, I love those examples, and in that last example, actually, I heard a keynote this morning that was talking about developing students that feel compelled versus just compliant. Not that we don't want students to be compliant; that's a good thing, but students that feel compelled. And so, you talk about like the Career Center helping that student tap into clearly strengths and interests, to use those strengths right there in the community, but then, much as in your own journey, wanting to do more and to grow and to take on additional leaderships. Maybe a leadership role is just, I mean, such a powerful example.
Just he's a terrific young man, and I was just so excited to hear that. I think that his dad wasn't, you always have dreams of your kids going to college and doing those pieces, and I think his dad was a little disappointed about that. But once he started working and saw the joy in him,
Mhm.
he's like, okay, this is terrific. He's gonna be okay. And then once he decided on his own that he wanted to grow and make that journey on his own was very rewarding.
And now that student's set up for, I think, better success if he decides to pursue post secondary, because he'll be doing so with a purpose rather than just as I think this is what I'm supposed to do after high school. Very good. Well, and I also appreciate you sharing a few diverse experiences of students, because it shows that, while you have your systems in place for high quality education for all, there's also individual paths within that, and success, looks different because each student, because they have, their own journey. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you have. We are going to wrap up here with our final question that we always ask our friends on the podcast, which is, what are you recommending right now?
Got to be sure to surround yourself with a terrific team. And teams look different. If you're in maybe a small corporation, it might just be your building principals, teacher leaders, coaches, instructional coaches. It might be that. Here, I do have a district team. We're big enough to have a district team, and you surround yourself with outstanding individuals to be thought partners. You can't control everything, right? So you have to depend on others to help you be successful and help to achieve the goals of the district. So I encourage folks to do that, to surround yourself with wonderful people, reach out to your colleagues. I would argue that the seat is not a lonely seat. It is it's a challenging position, but boy, there is a network of folks that are willing to help and want you to be successful and will be thought partners with you anytime that you need it. I guess something that I'm reading right now, maybe to piggyback on that, is The Atomic Habits by James Clear. Taking those everyday small tasks and turning into a habit of greatness. Some of those things that we were doing in the classroom and how we were so fortunate to have so much success and produce so many successful students out of our program were these just tiny habits of excellence. I've always told the students, if we're going to do it, we're going to strive to be the best at doing that. I try to do that in all my work every day, and the Atomic Habits is a book that really helps illustrate that and just how a little bit every day makes a big difference in your everyday life.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Chuck. Thank you for your leadership of Muncie Community Schools and the way that you represent and lead your community with positivity and just with great energy and insight. We are grateful to have Muncie Community Schools as a partner, as a member district of our service center, and happy to share all of this and look for great things to come at Muncie as well. So thank you again so much for your time, and thank you to everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. We hope that this glimpse into the bright future of East Central Indiana inspires you and brings you hope.
We have the privilege to work with these future makers every day and want to share their stories throughout Indiana and beyond.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with your circle and let's keep the conversation going.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on our website.
Until next time, remember that your strengths and interests are a blueprint to your future of success and impact.